Hi, everyone. I'm Stan Mallow, the paranormal yacker. My guest in today's show is internationally acclaimed psychic, ghost hunter, spiritual healer, teacher, and writer, Echo Bodine. I'll be talking with Echo about her book, How to Live a Happily Ever Afterlife, Stories of Trapped Souls and How Not to Become One. Echo Bodine, welcome to Paranormal Yacker.
Oh, hi, Stan. It's nice to be here with you.
You, Echo, started seeing spirits as a young girl. How old were you when you saw your first ghost, and what was your reaction to seeing it?
I know that I was 17 when I saw a spirit, but I really didn't really understand what it was. Because I didn't know what it was, I didn't even know how to react.
You've been helping set free spirits who have not ascended Earth for decades.
Yeah.
And in the course of freeing those spirits, you have found that most of them have one particular thing in common. What is it?
So what we have found is there are 6 reasons in common with these ghosts, why they choose to remain earthbound. But the number one reason that we have heard over and over and over is they are afraid if they go to heaven, they're going to get sent to hell. Yes, Dan, we hear it over and over and over. We always ask the ghost, why are you here? Why don't you go on to the other side? No, they're afraid that they'll say, well, I did some things in my life that weren't very good, and I'm just afraid if I go over there that God will send me to hell.
And I know from your book, a number of them stick around because of unfinished business. How do you, in the first place, learn what that unfinished business is? And then once knowing that, what steps do you take to help that person resolve whatever unfinished business they need to accomplish before leaving the earth plane?
Okay. One of the examples that come to mind is a spirit named Sherry, who had been murdered by her boyfriend. Then he committed suicide. And so she said, I'm not going to go anywhere wherever Willie is. She said that's why she was going to remain earthbound, so that she would never have to see Willie again, her former boyfriend. I met a ghost. She had to be around 86 years old when she died, and she was living in an abandoned house in northern Minnesota. And when I asked her, what's her name was Eva. I said, Eva, why don't you go to the other side? And she said, because her sister was always really mean to her when they were living, and her sister is deceased. And she said, I don't want to go anywhere where my sister is. Once we figure out, okay, then what we do is you know what, Stan, it's more like ghost counseling than ghost busting. Because, I mean, really, how do you bust a ghost? Seriously. So it's more talking to these souls, and like in that case with Sherry and Eva, just explaining to them that Earth is as big and wide and full of souls, just like Earth is. Chances of running into Eva's sister or Willie are very, very slim. So we just tell them, when you get over there, when you see the greeters, just tell them you don't want to run into Willie. You don't want to run into your sister. We've had ghosts say, my ex-wife is over there and I hate her and I never want to see her again. We had a young man who he said his parents were really abusive and he never wanted to see them again. People have this idea that as soon as they get to heaven, that person is going to be standing there waiting for them. And that's what they're so afraid of. We just make it really clear to them, no, you don't have to see them if you don't want to. Really, Stan, it's some of these reasons. Another reason comes to mind of people who they do not like change. Okay, they wake up every morning, same time. Their morning routine is the same. They eat the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. They go to the same job. They don't even ask themselves if they're happy or not. They just go to the same job every day. They come home, watch TV, and they go to bed same time every night. And so what I've seen with some of these souls is when they die, their routine, they don't know what to do. They have said to us, I hate change. I don't want change. I don't want to go someplace else. So I'm just going to stay here. You'll get a kick out of this story. I was at a ghost job in Nebraska, and I walked through this lady's whole house and I didn't see anything. I didn't see any ghost at all. And I went out into the yard for some reason, maybe to make a phone call. And I noticed there was a male ghost sitting in the back seat of a 64 Chevy. So I walked over to the car and I said to the man, hello, why are you sitting in this car? And he he said, this is my car and I don't want to leave it. I'm just going to stay here. So I said, okay, so instead of moving on to the other side, you are going to live in your car. And he said, yes, I love my car and I don't want to change. Okay, so I went into the house and I said to the woman, do you know there's a man living in that 64 Chevy? And she said, oh yeah, that's my husband. She said, he loved that car more than he loved any of us. And she said, I'm not surprised that he's haunting that car. That's another one of the reasons is they hate change. Another reason that ghosts don't move on to the other side is they believed when they were living there, but they believed that there was no such thing as life after death. They really believed when you die, it's over. When these folks have died, their soul comes out of their body. They're absolutely dumbfounded. They don't, what's going on? What's going on? They want to know, where am I? What is this place? It's like darkness, but the darkness is what they expected. Their brain didn't really expect anything, and they're very, very confused. And so they just stay. They'll look around for a house that has other ghosts in it. That's one thing we have found is if a home has one ghost, they've got more ghosts. What is also interesting about this is that they each kind of stake out their claim in the house. Somebody picks the basement, somebody picks the attic, somebody picks a closet, somebody picks the shower. They stay in that place. They don't roam around. They don't communicate with each other. It's very interesting. These folks, they are so confused because they did not believe in life after death, and yet they are still alive. There's some examples for you.
I have to tell you that I found the different encounters you had with souls who passed over fascinating. One of them I'd like you to maybe elaborate on a bit is about your first encounter with a soul who claimed he did not believe he was dead.
That was scary. And you know what, Stan? When I see a spirit, they always appear in just regular clothing, like a t-shirt and jeans maybe. Or recently I saw a spirit in a 3-piece suit. And that's what he was used to wearing every day at work. And so in death, this is what he thinks he should have on. Okay, now this was a first for me. I went to this lady's house because something was jumping on her bed at night. She would come home from work every day. Clothes would be pulled out of the closet. Everything would be taken off of her dresser. And it was the routine every day in her house. When I got there, there wasn't anybody there at first. And I just sat in her bedroom and waited. And into the room came this young man spirit, and he was dressed in a military uniform, and he had a big hole blown right through him. And I was really shocked to see this because I had never seen anything like that. And I remember I said to my spirit guide, what's going on here? What is this? And my spirit guide said, he doesn't know he's deceased. And I thought, what? Now that was the first time that I had met somebody that didn't know that they were deceased. And so I said to my guide, I said, well, what do I do? And he said, well, you're going to have to tell him that he's deceased. And I thought, oh, great. So I said to the spirit, I said, what is your name? And he said, Kenneth. And I said, Kenneth, what year do you think this is? And he told me it was 1968. Well, the reality was it was like 1992. I said, what is your last memory? And he said, well, I was in Vietnam and I came home. Is it okay if I swear on your show?
Go ahead.
He said, and I'm just trying to get this bitch out of my house. I was like, oh my God. I said, so you were in Vietnam, you came home, and this woman is living in your house. And he said, yeah. I said, Kenneth, this is 1992. And he yelled, he said, no, it's not. And I said, oh God. I just thought, how am I going to tell this guy? So I said, Kenneth, look down at yourself. And he looked down and he saw that there was a big hole blown right through him. And I said, Kenneth, you are deceased. No, I'm not. And he just came looming at me, I think just trying to scare me. But I just sat there and he left the room. And this went on, honest to gosh, for 4 hours, back and forth, back and forth. He'd leave the room. I would tell him, Kenneth, you obviously died when you were in Vietnam. I said, this is 1992. I said, this lady, she rents this house. She has a right to be here. And nope. He said, nope, he did not die in Vietnam. And it's 1968. And he just wants this bitch out of his house. Honestly, honey, he just kept it up. And then finally, I don't know who was more worn out, him or me, but finally he said, when I said, Kenneth, you really need to move on into the light. Can you see the light? Yes, I can see the light. Okay, you really need to move into that light and start a new life. He cried. Souls cry, but they don't cry wet tears, but they cry. He was very, very sad, but he finally said, okay, I'll go. And he did go into the light.
Wow, what a story.
I
Incredible.
know it was a long night. I'm so glad to say I haven't had more experiences like that where they don't know that they're deceased. I met one other, but they were really kind of wimpy about the whole thing. I think they just didn't want to, oh, yeah, oh, there is that other one. Yes, okay. Anyway, I could sit here all day. Stories just pop into my mind.
How did the spirits you've communicated with describe their exact moment of death? Were their descriptions similar or did they differ?
They're pretty similar, the majority of them at the very time of death. And I don't even know how long this lasts for them, but their very first thought is, okay, is this a dream or have I died? Some of them I've seen, they kind of sit with that for, gosh, I've seen one soul, he took 3 days to finally believe this wasn't a dream and that he had actually died. I've had several friends die this year rather quickly from like heart attacks. And I've talked to each one of them, and all of them at first just kind of sit and think, okay, am I dead? Am I alive? Why does this feel so different? I feel so light. I don't have my heavy body. Why is my body over there and I'm over here? Oh, why are all these people crying? Oh, I don't think this is a dream. Okay, I think this is for real. Then other folks, when their soul comes out of their body, there's a loved one there from the other side who has come to take them to the other side. And so even then they're like, whoa, why am I seeing you here, Dad? Wait, did I just die? Is that why you're here? It seems to me, Stan, that the majority of people are not really clear right at the time of death. It can take some folks, this lady that I know that just died on Sunday, when she died, her soul came out of her body and her father was there. And she was a daddy's girl. She absolutely loved her daddy. And he had been dead for about 10 years. So she was so happy to see him, and then had the realization, wait a minute, I'm with my dad. But then she was like, okay, because she knew she's been very sick for the last 2 years. She seemed to just kind of embrace it, like, okay, yeah, Dad. And then he took her on over to the other side. And Stan, sometimes people's souls leave before the body actually dies. And it's because I remember when my dad died and my grandma came and got him a day before, because I could sense there was something different in the room. And I opened up psychically to see, okay, what's going on in here? And I saw my dad and my grandma moving up towards the light. But I looked at my dad's body and he was still breathing. And I said to him, mental telepathy, I said, Dad, your body is still breathing. And he said, strong heart, I'll be gone tomorrow. Don't need to stick around. And so some souls do leave. They know that the end is coming and they think, I don't have to lay here for another 24 hours before my heart finally gives out. So I'm going to leave now. I've seen that also.
That's amazing. Did you find that the religion, cultural background, country of origin, or perhaps other factors play a part in how the trapped souls you communicated with viewed and described what they saw and experienced on the other side?
Yes, I have found that over and over and over. No matter what our beliefs about heaven are, is what we first see when we go over. So our religion has taught us about death, what to expect, what it's going to be like. And so people have that stuck in their mind, just like the whole thing with Satan. Well, I don't want to go to the other side because God's going to send me to hell. Okay, that's a strong belief that they have in their mind. It's going to take them some time, because when I say to them, the angels that I have worked with have said there is no such place as hell, that God would never create a place like that and send any of his children to this horrible place. When I say that to them, Stan, they just look at me like I just spoke a different language to them. It's like, no, there's a heaven. No, there's a hell. There's Satan. I'm going to burn forever. It takes them time to even be willing to change the way they're thinking about death. So that's why in the book, I have those exercises at the end of each chapter just to get people to stop and think about, well, what do I believe about life after death? Because, Stan, really, I have never seen an image of hell. I have never seen a demon that supposedly looks like Satan. I've never seen that. All I ever see is this amazing light, this amazing energy of God, and I see this beautiful place called heaven. And I was raised to believe in Satan and in hell also, but even as a little girl, I knew that story, it was just off. It was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I've had it confirmed by many, many angels that I've worked with over the years that there is no such place. Think about all the people that believe so strong in it. They've been in hell their whole life because they believe in this horrible place that they're going to go to. So it's really sad.
Do the spirits of deceased souls attend their own funerals?
Most of them do. Sometimes what I've seen is if there was a soul, maybe who committed suicide through taking a lot of drugs, they might still be, their soul might still be really worn out from all the medication that they took. You know, Stan, of every funeral I've ever gone to, I see the loved one there or the deceased there. And some funny stories just of these souls. But it's fun for them because they can walk around and hear people talk about them. They're the center of attention, and a lot of souls, yes, a lot of souls attend their funeral.
Are there any specific locations which you have found more earthbound spirits roaming around than at other locations?
Well, now that's a great question. Down south, where all these wars took place and all these soldiers from the different wars, they say that a lot of these soldiers are roaming around. I've never been there, so I don't know if all these Confederate soldiers, Union soldiers, I don't know if they're all there. I find it hard to believe. I mean, come on, how much time do you need to just linger? I can't really answer that question.
Fair enough. What dynamics takes place on the other side when an infant passes into spirit versus that of an adult?
When an infant is born, that is a full-grown adult soul that is going into that little baby body. And so when they go to the other side, they are already an adult soul. Or I've also seen souls that are an adult soul. They are born into a little baby body. The baby body dies, and that soul can choose to remain a baby, and then someone on the other side will take care of that baby. It's very interesting because honestly, you know, Stan, every time in the past I've been birth coach for many, many women, and every time that we're in the delivery room, I always see an adult soul in the room waiting for its new body to be born. And so it's an adult soul. And then when the body is born, then I see this adult soul, which is actually energy. It just goes right into the little body. A story comes to mind. A woman brought her 9-month-old baby to me for healing because the baby was born with cancer of the eyes. And so I said to her, could I hold the baby, please? I want to talk to his soul. And I took the baby and I walked into my kitchen and I said to the baby, but I said, I would like to talk to your soul. And this adult male soul came out of the baby's body and he said, would you please heal my left eye? I don't need to be completely blind. But he said, I knew when I came into this body that the right eye would be blind. He said, so please heal the left eye and don't worry about this and tell my mother not to worry about this. I knew this was the situation before I even came in. And so I just put my hand on the left eye and channeled healing to it. The mom told me that there were specks of cancer in the left eye and did one healing on the baby. And then she called me 2 weeks later after his next exam, and all the cancer in the left eye was gone. His soul was fine with the situation. But we have to remember that when a baby is born, there is an adult soul in there, and they're starting a brand new experience.
When, Echo, does the soul get reincarnated? For example, people who have had near-death experiences often talk about being greeted by a loved one who passed. past.
Yep.
Does that mean that person has not been reincarnated? They're just waiting for their loved one to join them and they'll take them there, or they just remain about them? What are the dynamics of that?
When a person does have a out-of-body experience like that, their loved one from the other side greets them and usually tells them this is not time for you to come home. It's great to see you, but you have to go back. And so they recommend 60 years, Earth years, in between reincarnations. But a lot of people these days are coming back pretty fast, maybe 5 years after their recent death. They don't recommend that either because the soul can be really confused. Do I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, or do I live in India? And why do I think I should be in Tulsa when I'm in India? It can be confusing for the soul to come back too quick. That's why they recommend 60 years in between lives.
What do you, Echo, recommend someone on this earth plane can do now while they're still alive that would help them to ascend peacefully when they leave their physical bodies and transition to spirit?
You know, I hate to sound like an author, but I'm going to for a second because the book really helps people clear things up, take an inventory of themselves. What do I believe about death? Do I believe in hell? Really, there's exercises at the end of each chapter to really help people. Come on, let's think about this now. What do you believe? Because so many people, Stan, tell me, well, I don't want to think about death. I don't want to talk about death. I'll talk about it on my deathbed. Well, that's kind of too late. So I think that it would be good, just like we get all of our other affairs in order, let's get our mind in order. What do we believe? I wish that people's beliefs, negative beliefs about death, I hope that this book helps them to heal that, because really death is just a new beginning. It's so sweet. And Stan, when my mom died, okay, so my mom's birthday, living birthday, was July 23rd. She died on October 4th. So the following year after her death, July 23rd came, and I said, hey, Mom, happy birthday. And she hollered back, honey, my new birthday is October 4th. And I thought, oh my goodness, I hadn't thought of that her death date is now her new birth date because she was born now on into the other side.
In your book, Echo, you share your experiences and compelling investigations that led you to see the issues from a spirit's living time on Earth. Each story is accompanied by an exercise that helps your readers avoid the fate of a trapped, angry, or unprepared soul, which you just mentioned previously. Could you share one or two of those exercises?
Oh my goodness. Well, I better be a little more prepared here. Let me get a book here. Well, let's see now. I have to look at my own book to know what you're talking about. Well, I mean, I know what you're talking about, but okay, so here's one. And it's in the chapter called Safe Passage. For the very last time, I ask you to consider what your beliefs are about the afterlife. Remember, my friend, you are a child of God. That means you are worthy of so much goodness and love. Please don't let negative beliefs about yourself, about heaven, or about God keep you stuck on the earthly plane. You deserve a wonderful, happily ever after life instead of hanging around in purgatory or in someone's attic. It doesn't matter what the people around you believe. This is about you moving on to what's next. Heaven will be everything you want it to be if you open your beliefs to all the goodness available to you. Life on earth is hard and crazy, fulfilling and disappointing, happy and sad. Let yourself know and believe that you get to have a happily ever after life, and it shall be done. So that one's more about please look at your beliefs.
Should viewers of Paranormal Yacker want to buy How to Live a Happily Ever After Life, stories of trapped souls and how not to become one, how do they go about doing that?
It's in Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's all over the place, which is really nice. And thanks to people like you, I am getting the word out more and more about this book. I definitely recommend going to Amazon or any of the bookstores, really. It's easy to find. And you can find it on my website also, echobodine.com.
Echo Bodine, I thank you for being my guest on Paranormal Yacker. Much success is wished you with your book.
Thank you, Stan. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. This is Stan Mallow, the Paranormal Yacker. I hope you enjoyed the interview you just watched. To be sure you're amongst the first to receive new interviews when they're released and to have access to previous ones, subscribe to my free YouTube channel. To do that, all you have to do is press the subscribe button on your screen.